What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky with Videohomicide, back with a little discussion video I wanted to make. So, am I collecting VHS tapes in 2023? The easy answer is yes, but it's sort of a loaded answer because I'm not actively going to thrift stores. I'm not going on eBay or any of these sort of like lunch meat media places or like retro release companies. These little like niche, mostly run on Instagram, small businesses where they're putting out bootlegs and different things like that. Like that stuff I condone. I think it's really awesome, but a lot of times it's so fucking limited that you can't get your hands on it unless like, you know, the second they post it, it's available that you buy it. And like, no, not everyone just has like disposable cash to just dump on fucking their collection, you know. Like one thing that I was guilty of for a while was definitely like spending too much money on the collection, like, and not just the movies and tapes, but like everything, books and fucking dope, everything. You know, it's, you got to really budget out your money and find what you want to spend it on, what you want to get really bad. So whenever these companies, like a retro release type company puts, like, say, let's just, for instance, let's say they're going to put out Shogun Assassin, a bootleg of Shogun Assassin, and it's like, you know, clamshell, comes with fucking the tape with the movie on it and all that, you know, just like really nice presentation. If I seen that and it's $30, I'm jumping on it immediately. But if I see that and it's like $50, I gotta second guess that. And if it's like a limited thing, you know you're not gonna get it. And if you try to get it in the future, it's gonna be like 3 times the cost on eBay. And that's the thing, like, that really pisses me off, you know, because people, and I've seen it, I used to just think it was like a fucking myth, right? But you see people in thrift stores with a phone in their hand and they're fucking looking at stuff, you know. Like there was that whole thing where VHS tapes, or excuse me, the Disney tapes were like going for insane amounts of money, and Pokemon tapes and all this shit, and you know, everyone thinks that something's worth cash. Like if it's in a thrift store, like, dude, it's, you find the odd gem. Like I found the sealed copy of The Killer, I found the Frank Miller autograph. But other than that, like, you know, most people know what they're putting out on the floor, or like, not, maybe not at a thrift store, but like a video store, or definitely online. Like that's the thing. Like I was about to say, when you get into eBay and you're seeing Back to the Future, I don't know why this movie always fucking comes up, but when you're seeing that go for like $10, $15, sealed copies, couple $100, like this is a fucking movie that you find every time you go. Same with like, you're always gonna find the Lethal Weapon films. You know, you're always gonna find Titanic. That's like not a meme. That's fucking legit. You're always gonna find like every Steven Seagal film. You know, but the good thing is about Steven Seagal films, there's a lot of good ones. Hard to Kill. You know, Marked for Death is like probably my favorite. Above the Law, like there's a lot of good ones, so give those a chance. Like don't think he's just some kind of fucking like internet meme guy, because he did kick ass in certain movies for sure. But you know, those aren't worth fuck all, but eventually they are going to be worth a lot. Like same with like, it all depends on like the person, right? Like these Chuck Norris tapes are going to start going up in price hardcore, like they already have been. Anything Schwarzenegger, like we're going to get to the days where like Terminator on tape is like $20. You know, or like Ghostbusters is like $30. It's the same thing that's happening with fucking Nintendo games, man. And like all this shit. Like remember back in the day when you traded in all your Nintendo shit and you got back like fucking $10 and you put that towards like some $80 PS1 game or like N64 game? That's the same. And then now like a Super Mario 3 is worth like $50. Like, are you kidding me? Everyone had it. How is it worth so much when everyone had it? I don't get that. Same with like comic books, man. Like people, I've seen Spawn. I remember back in the day, Spawn, I seen it one time for $2. And then one time I saw it for $7. And then another time I seen it for $35. You know what I mean? This is Spawn #1 we're talking about. There was only millions of copies made. And that's the thing with these tapes too. A lot of times it wasn't like, you know, these tapes were put out like nowadays, these boutique label DVD Blu-ray places put out like a couple thousand. Like that, it was never like that with tapes. Like there wasn't a couple thousand copies of Maniac Cop. There was like hundreds of thousands, probably tens of thousands guaranteed. And that's like not even like a really, you know, it's a mainstream title, I guess you would say, but it's not like a Freddy Krueger. Like think of how many copies of Nightmare on Elm Street exist out there on VHS. It's probably fucking an insane number that you couldn't even fucking fathom. But they're just going up. You see them for $20. It's like, what? I went to a place a couple weeks ago and there was like a decent little booth. It was an antique mall. There was this booth where there was a bunch of tapes and stuff, but they were all priced like ridiculous. Like, you know, Children of the Corn, if you're charging $20 for Children of the Corn, you're out of your fucking mind. 100% out of your mind. Same with like any of the Friday the 13th films. No, they're not worth that kind of cash, man. They're worth like 50 cents, honestly. Unless like you really fucking need to own them and you want to put out the bread. And again, at the end of the day, like I can't really say don't buy this, otherwise I'm gonna think you're a fucking mental patient. But you know, it's up to your own recourse if you want to say that. But there is like certain events that I will, you know, go to and shit where there'll be VHS tapes for sale. VHS Fest at Odyssey Records a couple years ago. Like that was like right before COVID, so hopefully another one of those happens eventually. Of course, Shock Stock, any kind of like horror convention, record show or anything like that, you might find some tapes. You're probably gonna find some cool stuff, in, you know, priced accordingly. But it's all about being able to find shit and look at it in a physical setting, you know. Because I've said this a million times, when you go into a thrift store or when you go to a convention, you're looking at tables and stuff, like you can pick up the tape, look at the front, look at the back, boom, wham, bam, look at all the other stuff, maybe find 5 or 6 other titles you want to pick up you didn't know you wanted. But when you go online, you're limited. It's like you look up something and then you have to look up something else, or like look at a related search, or people that bought this also bought this. Like fuck all that shit. You don't get a sense of looking at it. Like the last thing I got online was those Afro Samurai graphic novels. I pre-ordered the fuck out of those. And the reason I had to do that is because I knew they were going to go, you know, they're probably out of print right now for all I fucking know. Especially with those fucking kayfabe assholes. Like I love those guys. I'm just joking. But like those guys, like that kayfabe effect shit is fucking real. And it's the same with like big, you know, sort of more popular YouTube people. If they bring a hobby into the light, everything's going to go up in price. Like, so if some guy decides, oh, I'm going to collect tapes, he's got like a couple 100,000 subscribers, and he's going to influence all these fucking people. And like, this is a scam that I thought of. I think some of these fucking people will like buy a bunch, like every fucking thing they can find on a thing. Let's just say it's a copy of the fucking Metallica album, right? It's a Metallica album, and they buy all of them, and then they just start making videos saying this album's rare as fuck, you gotta buy this album, you gotta get this album. And then he's the one fucking flipping all these albums out. And I'm sure that shit happens, man. You can't tell me it doesn't. It definitely happens to some degree with some kind of collection, hobby, fucking, you know, culture, whatever you want to call it. But you know, I wouldn't put that past any of these scam artists, because at the end of the day, all these fucking people are after is money. You know, and like there's people like me, people like you probably, that we just want to collect the shit, own it, and enjoy it and have it in our home. But how fun is it when you got to pay out the ass for it? You know, like there's like, it's not a tape, but there's a video game, Def Jam Fight for New York on PS2. If you have it, you want to sell it for cheap, let me know. Or trade or something, I would definitely be open to that. But they have it at a store near me for $168, and I'm not paying $168 for a video game. You know, I just won't do it. The most I ever spent, I think, was $60. And I'm ashamed of that, but I mean, I bought it, and that's just the way it goes. And like, that's like in the last like year or two. It's not like, you know, when you buy a new video game, you expect to probably spend more. I don't know. I haven't bought a new video game in years, since Red Dead 2. And that was probably like $60-$70, I assume. I don't remember. But, you know, now you can get that game for like $5 probably somewhere. It's fucking nuts, man. But, you know, once again, to sort of get back to the question at hand, am I collecting VHS tapes in 2023? Yes, but just very, very limited. And I can't just bring a bunch of tapes into my place and justify, you know, having space for them. Everything on this wall behind me is being curated. It's not, like, there's no room for filler. It's all killer. And I just don't want to, I don't want anyone to fucking fall down the same trap that I did, where like they get this FOMO, fear of missing out shit. And I still get it for certain shit, but you got to look past that, man. Because if like someone, like there's a lot of really good artists on Instagram, on Facebook and stuff like that. And they put out zines and comics and stuff, always very limited. And again, you miss it. And then there might be a copy on eBay in 10 years and it's going to be expensive as fuck. So I would suggest pulling the trigger on like the sort of independent artist stuff, your retro release videotapes of all different accounts. Like there's not just an account called retro release, but I'm just using that as like an all-encompassing term. Those are the places that I'm more likely to pull the trigger on buying a tape online, because if someone put the heart and time into creating like a nice cover art for it, and just being keen on detail with the presentation, and make sure the movie's on the fucking tape, because I've seen people selling just the empty case, and it's like, well, what the fuck? What are you gonna do with that, man? I guess, Ebon Press did that with Maniac, but like that's different, because that's like an art piece. But I'm guilty as fuck too. Like, I have a bunch of those Asian VHS covers in Disney cases, and there's no movies in there. It's just it's a total vanity thing, I guess, like to have like all these movies there. I've actually considered getting rid of those, but at the same time, I remember how excited I was to put those on the shelf. I don't really want to part with them yet, but the time could come, because it's taking up an entire 2-foot shelf, and I can fit a lot of other quality stuff on there that actually exists in the collection. So don't be afraid to voice your opinion, and don't be afraid to not spend money. Keep your money as long as you can, but if you want to spend it, whatever the fuck. I'm not here to tell you what to do with the money. I'm just telling you that in this day and age, where, if you think about it, all the people that were donating movies and stuff were older folks, and they were passing away and stuff, and there was a tape collection in the basement that got donated, and like now we're getting to the point where a lot of those people unfortunately have passed, and these big collections are not going to be swamping into the thrift stores and shit like that anymore. It's going to be harder and harder to get this stuff. So I understand the price is rising, but Super Mario 3 being $50, Nightmare on Elm Street being $20 on tape, it's just ridiculous to me, because everyone had it. I say it till the fucking cows come home. Everyone had those things. Everybody had Tetris. Everybody had fucking Double Dragon and Double Dragon 2 and all that type of shit. Now it's just like, you can't own the stuff. Like, and people are like, oh, you emulate. You're emulating. It's like, well, fuck. What? So I want to play the game. I don't want to sit there and jerk off and not play it. Like, these movies behind me, like, I like to watch these movies. It's not just like, a nice background. Like, I love movies. I love cinema. It's my favorite art form. And right now I'm actually on episode 7 of Band of Brothers, which is phenomenal sort of companion piece to Saving Private Ryan, which is an excellent film. There's also another companion piece called The Pacific, which I'll be diving into after Band of Brothers. But after The Pacific, I got to take a break from like war stuff, because I've been watching a lot of war shit, and it's starting to fuck with my head, I think. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody for watching. Check out cinema.187 on Instagram. Buy the zine, get the zine, and leave a 666 in the comments. With that being said, adios, amigos. Smoke a joint, finish this episode, and call it a night. Cheers.